You know, you look at the 50-point club, I would say it's like when you look at like saves in the postseason and Mariano Rivera, and then there's like the rest of the people. Michael Jordan, 30 50-point games for the Bulls, 2 for Jimmy Buckets, 1 Jamal, and 1 Chet. Guys, I remember going into the season, so much talk about Bones. Is Jimmy Butler the kind of guy that can be a franchise player for the Bulls, someone they can really build around moving forward? He certainly looked like that kind of player tonight.
Well, 3D hopefully will back me up on this. Jimmy Butler is developing that habit. That doesn't just happen because all of a sudden, they pay you a big contract and they say, hey, go and do this. You're our franchise guy. You have to learn the nuances of how you're going to manipulate the game. You're going to be a scorer that night. You're going to facilitate that night. You're going to find a way to keep your team competitive when you don't have everything going. Jimmy Butler's predicament in Chicago has gotten a significantly different 3D over the course of the last 48 hours. With the Rondo situation and that signing in the summer, the Wade signing over the summer, because there was a core 4 of guys that was going to be McDermott, Mirotic, moving forward with Bobby Portis, Cristiano, Taj Gibson as a hard work guy, a grunt guy, a lunch pail guy. But they brought in a bunch of veteran guys. And so it's been an interesting road with Jimmy with the coaching change and Fred. I know I'm mentioning a lot of things, but that's what he has to deal with as the leader of the team. So I think it's interesting.
To your question, Casey, when you're a franchise player, you got more responsibilities. Well, before, Jimmy Butler came in just a defensive-minded guy, and now that one summer where he locked himself into a house with his boys and then just played basketball, worked on his game, you see the benefits of it. Now, every night, do you have those all-star MVP-type legs where both ends of the floor, where tonight he still got 3 steals, got a block shot, so he still is keeping his identity, so to speak, but now you're able to get buckets like he showed tonight.
There's one thing, Casey, that I've never heard for Jimmy Butler all of the time in Chicago, and that is that he doesn't want that. And that's a big difference. He's always spoken about being in the gym, putting the work in, wanting to get better, wanting that responsibility. That's something for us to latch on to as fans of the game, certainly Chicago Bull fans, that you have a guy like Jimmy who's willing to take that kind of pressure on and try to push himself to the limits of what it is that he can do on the floor. Tonight was an awesome example of when he's good, he is that good for this team.
You guys played with great players, learned from great players. It's not in the stat sheet. I know he didn't play tonight. What does he learn in being around D. Wade? A guy who's been that, who's had that on his shoulders on carrying a franchise. What does he learn being around him this season? Well,
being able to pick your spots throughout the game, because to Brent's point, you got to be able to affect the game on all different areas. It had to always be points, always have to be steals. So now, mentally, as leaders, can you go to Rondo, can you go to other players, Jerry and Grant, some of the younger guys, and build them up? Because late game situation like he showed us tonight in the fourth quarter, he can go get his buckets.
Sometimes it's not about affecting the game itself. It's about affecting the minds of the players that are involved in the game, and especially the ones on your team. When it is they need the confidence, when it is that they need to be called out and things brought to attention. Those are the kind of things that Jimmy Butler slowly is working himself into, which a lot of people talked about for a while, and it was forced on him. It was really forced on him. It's got to be a maturation process. We are starting to see good signs from him.